Want to create a podcast that sounds amazing without spending a ton of money on editing? Or maybe you're ready to launch your podcast, but you feel intimidated by the technical aspects of the process. I totally get it. And guess what? I have good news for you. The DIY Podcaster course has got you covered. DIY Podcaster is designed to help you become a podcasting pro without breaking the bank. With step-by-step guidance from me, your best friend in beauty, you'll learn how to record and edit high-quality podcast episodes that sound professional and top-tier, all on your own. And the best part? You don't need any previous tech experience to succeed in this course. With 7 modules plus bonus material, you'll have everything you need to get your first episode recorded and edited in just 1 week. So why wait? Enroll in DIY Podcaster today and start creating the podcast of your dreams.
Yeah, so it pretty much was like my frustration with my hair, going through my natural hair journey and, doing the big chop and trying to find products to work for my hair. I remember distinctly like never having a hair tie to fit around my afro hair. So when my hair was in a fro, like a headband was often too big and then a regular hair tie was too small. And then I was always like having to stretch my hair just to get it in one of the small hair ties. And so I had one day where I was literally doing that. I was stretching my hair and I was like in between acting auditions, and I wanted to go to the gym and work out, and I was in my studio apartment in Hollywood and I was trying to put my hair in the little hair tie and it basically like broke and flew across the room, and I was just like, oh. And I was like, I really wish I just had something that snapped on and snapped off. And then I just had an idea for this hair tie and I was like, okay, I'm gonna write that down. I'll come back to it later. It's a great idea. And then, like 6 months go by, and then my brother, who's an entrepreneur as well, he's called Chuka the Rich Barber, and his company is the Rich Barber Company. And he saw it and he's like, hey, what's that idea?
Welcome to the Friends in Beauty podcast, a safe space for ambitious beauty industry creatives to have real talk, get real answers, and practical tools to grow their businesses. My name is Keziah Robinson, and I'm a makeup artist, beauty educator, and the creator of Friends in Beauty. I created Friends in Beauty to support like-minded creatives just like you on their quest to connect, network, and build genuine relationships within the beauty community. Join me every week as me and my special guests reveal the keys to success and longevity in the beauty industry, and most importantly, have fun while doing it. You ready? Hey, what's up? It's your best friend in beauty, Keziah Robinson. Welcome back to another episode of the Friends in Beauty podcast. I am so happy to have you here, and I hope you're listening to this episode in high spirits and in good health. Now, on this episode of the Friends in Beauty podcast, I welcome Keziah Dhamma to the Friends in Beauty guest chair. Keziah is the founder and CEO of SwirlyCurly, the #1 premium hair accessory brand for curly naturals. She is also the creator of the SwirlyCurly Method, a simplified approach to natural hair care, CurlCollege, and the author of the SwirlyCurly Method, the easy step-by-step guide to getting the natural curls you love. Keziah has helped over 200,000 curly-haired women get beautifully long, moisturized, healthy curls in less time and with less effort through her company, SwirlyCurly and Education. Keziah has experienced the frustration that a lack of know-how and access to quality products can cause women of the natural hair community. Her goal is to empower other women to love their hair. I had such a great time chatting with Keziah. In this interview, she shares all about the ups and downs of her natural hair journey, what led her to create the SwirlyCurly brand, how her SwirlyCurly method has simplified natural hair care, unforeseen challenges with running the brand, the importance of quality control when you have a physical product, how she's educating the masses through CurlCollege, how she leverages YouTube to promote brand sales, being featured on Oprah Daily, and so much more. I know my curly girls are going to love this one, and Keziah was even nice enough to give us a 15% off coupon code for SwirlyCurly, so make sure you stay tuned for that. Let's go ahead and jump into this amazing conversation with Keziah, and if you prefer to watch our beautiful faces, then tune in on YouTube. Enjoy. Welcome to the Friends in Beauty podcast, Keziah.
Thank you. It's so nice to be here. I'm so excited to chat with you, and you look beautiful.
Thank you. So do you.
Thank you.
And I'm so excited. I was just telling you, I did some, digging on your brand, and I'm really excited to talk to you about the natural hair journey, the products that you've created, and all of the things. So we're going to jump into it.
I love it.
Yes. Before we do, I want to start off with some icebreakers just to get us warmed up, and so the Friends in Beauty audience can get to know you outside of what you do for your brand. So the first one, just give us 3 random facts about you.
Okay, 3 random facts. And I'm trying to make them really random that people won't know. So one would be, I used to be a personal trainer, and I actually really enjoyed it. However, I wasn't really equipped on the business side of things, like the hustle that it takes to, keep clients and stuff like that. So that kind of threw me for a loop. And I'd say that kind of overrode my passion for personal training. So then I moved on and started doing acting and modeling. Let's see, another thing, like, I did yoga for like 10 years. I was like really into yoga because I pulled my groin muscle when I was training for a triathlon, and that was the only thing I could do. And then another thing is that I'm half Nigerian. My dad actually lives in Nigeria, and my dad is remarried, so I have brothers and sisters all in Nigeria, and I've been there twice.
That is so nice. What tribe are you from?
I'm like, why am I blanking on this? We're Igbo from Onitsha.
Okay.
And if you want to call me by my tribe name, it's Ifoma.
Ifoma.
Yeah,
Okay.
Ifoma.
I like those random facts. That's so exciting. Nigeria. That is definitely on like my bucket list of places to go is Nigeria. And people always be like, don't go alone. I'm like,
I mean,
anywhere that you go, you have to be safe. But
yeah.
we're always trying to give you like the fear warnings. And I'm like, I'm going anyway. Not by myself, but I'm going to go one day.
Definitely. I would probably wait a little bit until kind of things smooth over with, the whole impact from COVID. Like, I would definitely wait because my dad's been telling me stories about what's going on, and it's just not a great place right at the moment. But, we all have our ups and downs, and I do believe it will rebound.
Yeah, definitely. It would definitely. Nigerians, can't say anything about Nigerians. They're resilient.
Yeah.
Nothing bad about them. So it will get better. What's the most adventurous thing you've ever done?
Oh, this is such a great question. Starting a business? I feel like definitely starting a business has been the most adventurous. It has had me do things I never thought I would ever do, and do them, like all of them, on a daily basis, or you just switch from different roles all the time as a business owner, entrepreneur. Absolutely, I'd say that's the most adventurous thing, other than, I would say, zip lining in Thailand. That would probably be the second adventurous thing. I feel like I'm probably more on the safer side of type of personality-ish. Yeah. I mean, I do things, but like, when my friends talk to me, like, I mean, I've never been to Coachella. I haven't done Burning Man. Like, I haven't did the backpacking trip in Europe yet. So I would say I'm kind of more on the safe side of things.
Yeah, I'm not a thrill seeker. Like, I like to have fun. Like, I'll do roller coasters. I've done zip lining one time, but I'm not jumping out of a plane. I love to fly. So I just can't imagine like jumping out of a plane. It would just like ruin travel for me. So I'm not skydiving ever.
Yeah.
I get that.
That's so funny.
Yeah. Oh, it's upside down. I have these things called pod decks.
Oh my
They
God.
have these very random, sometimes weird and interesting, scary questions in them. I have a what the heck and a would you rather. Which one do you like?
Would you rather?
Would you rather? Yay, finally. Because people always choose like what the heck. I'm always like, is it because it's green that people choose it? Let's see.
That's so funny. Look at this, my daredevil side coming out.
What is this? Would you rather wear a onesie 24/7 for a year, or horse head costume for a month straight? Very weird.
Probably a onesie for an entire year, because I like to be warm anyways. And I feel like I could do that. The horse head costume is like, your head's going to be covered. I think about breathing's going to be off. So yeah.
Yeah, and also I feel like jumpsuits are just glorified onesies. So I feel
Yeah,
like you get away with that.
you're right. Yeah.
You get away with that. What do people always tell you that you're good at aside from what you do professionally?
Um, I know that's so tough because I feel like most of my conversations around, not around work, but they revolve around kind of the skill sets and work and stuff like that. So, well, one, I'll give you two. The first one would be people say that I'm really good at helping other business owners and entrepreneurs kind of like brand their business or like see like what they have to offer and a good angle and how they should market and position their business.
Yeah.
And then the second thing I would say, probably really good at, I've heard this multiple times, like hosting, like kind of like friends are like, you should be a TV host or you should be a radio air host, which is fun fact is I actually went to school for journalism and I wanted to work for the Travel Channel. So I think that's where that comes from. And so people always say that. They're like, oh, you speak so clearly, very eloquently. And I'm like, really? I'm like, I stumble on my words. I slur my words. And I have like a little bit of like a ghetto Sacramento like vibe with my talk. Sometime I'm from Sacramento, California, NorCal. And like, we don't say the T's. So when I say like product, it's product, like product. It's so weird for me to say a T. So
Yeah.
I'd say those are going to be the two things.
Okay. I mean, I feel like accents are what make us who we are because sometimes I'm from DC. So
Okay.
there are a lot of words that I catch myself on. I'm like, ooh, I just can't say that word without my accent coming out. It's just hard. But it is, that's what makes you relatable. Somebody else from Sacramento would be like, I recognize that. I
Yeah.
recognize that accent and vibe with it.
Yeah. Thanks for saying that. I appreciate that.
Yeah, do your talk show thing, girl.
Yeah.
When is the last time that you did something for the first time?
Okay. Last time I did something for the first time. My life these days is so, I don't remember most of my days. I have 3 kids and they typically wake up half of the days of the week in the middle of the night. So I'm not getting all the sleep I typically should. So I feel like my brain, like the memory is really not there. But something I've done for the first time. I feel like I just did something recently. Let me think. Um, hmm, what have I done? I have to look at my calendar. That's what I typically do. I'll like look at my
That's what I do
calendar to
all the
remember what I've been up to. Um, well, I could say um, we started a podcast. It's actually called the Hey Girlfriend podcast. And I had my first interview where I interviewed somebody for the podcast last week. And that was the first time I've ever done a podcast interview.
time.
And it's funny being on the interview side. There's a lot more pressure. And I was a little more nervous and I'm like slurring my words and trying to get it together. And that was interesting. And so I know it's definitely a skill, I'm going to eventually get better at it, but that was something I've done for the first time ever.
That is really exciting. I like the idea that you were on the other side. And when you mentioned slurring your words before, I always feel like that. It's so crazy that I always feel like that. But then when I listen back to things, I'm like, you didn't slur your words at all.
Oh,
Like it
interesting.
sounds
Yeah.
like it's all cohesive, but in my head, I'm like, oh
Mhm.
my God, I was stumbling over my words and everything. And then when I listen back, I'm like, that sounded so smooth. Like it's all in my head. I don't know.
Well,
That's
that's good
really
to
cool
know.
though. I really like that you started a podcast, especially at this time, because a lot of people are always like, oh, everybody and their mother has a podcast. I'm like, no, they don't. It's
Yeah.
not true. Like, don't believe the hype. You can still start your podcast right now. And everybody always has like a different audience as well. So people who listen to my podcast might be different from who listens to yours. So I feel like if you want to start a podcast, go ahead and do it.
Yeah, absolutely. And so I think statistically, the amount of podcasts that have been made over the last few years, it's like the least amount on the list of, YouTube channels, Instagrams and blogs and all of that stuff. It's like the least amount. So it's a really, really good time to start a podcast.
Yeah. And I always say too with podcasting, not to get off topic, but the consistency of it. There are a lot of people who have podcasts, but are they still doing it? Are they
Yeah.
still consistently putting out episodes? And that's what's going to separate me, you, and everybody from the rest. Because a lot of people start, they do like a couple of episodes, then it's done.
Exactly.
Never
Yeah.
see it again.
Mm-hmm.
So the last one, if you weren't the founder of SwirlyCurly, what else could you see yourself doing right now?
Oh my gosh, there's so many things I want to do. I'm trying to pace myself. If I wasn't the founder of SwirlyCurly, so I have a couple ideas. I always had a vision of me dancing on the beach and working out. So I'd probably do something in fitness. As you know, I was a personal trainer. Secondly, I've always wanted a travel dance show. And I actually started creating it back in 2011. And I flew to Bali and I filmed in Hollywood, California, because I was living in Los Angeles at the time. And I started getting it going. And then I don't know what happened. I think it was like a little bit too much work. And then I think I was working at the same time and I just kind of let it slide. And I think that's when I got into modeling and acting and that kind of took over.
Gotcha.
So those are some dreams. And then I would say last but not least, there's another dream of creating a wellness brand with my husband, who we both obviously love health and wellness, fitness and all of that. And so we have an idea for a brand called Dhamma Wellness. So probably in the future, we'll create that together.
That's nice. Okay, I love that. So you definitely are a creative, just in your blood, because we're
Yes.
always passionate about multiple things. And
Yeah, got to slow it down. I
I
know.
get sick of myself sometimes. I'm like, girl, if you have another idea, like I'm gonna choke you out myself.
Oh my God, totally. I know. My friends are tired of hearing it. My husband's like, he's like, go work on SwirlyCurly right now.
Yes, yes. Okay. Well, thank you for answering those icebreakers. So you said you're from Sacramento. You lived in LA,
Yeah,
Hollywood.
pretty much
So
Hollywood. Yeah,
you still live
for a
in
long time.
California?
I don't. I actually live in Southern Utah right now, and I've been here for about a year and a half, and it's totally random
Uh-huh.
why I'm here. God is going to tell me eventually, but I during the pandemic, we started traveling. We left LA because there was a lot of lockdowns, and our daughter, who was 2 at the time, she had to wear a mask to school, and we're like, this is just not, we didn't really believe in her having to wear a mask. So we just thought, let's go travel. And then during the travels, I got pregnant with our third baby. And if anybody's listening, and if anybody's been pregnant before, they know and they can agree with me. You don't want to travel. You just want to be laying in bed and just having food delivered to you all the time and sleep. And I just got really desperate. I was like, let's just, go somewhere. And in the midst of going back to California, we somehow looked up a place here in St. George, Utah, and we ended up moving here to the desert and thought we'd try it out. And it's beautiful. The community is really nice, sweet people. There's a lot of retirees. And it's also interesting because I've never lived in a place where there's no Whole Foods and no Trader Joe's. I'm like such a California girl. And I'm like, where can I get poke? And it's different because you're in the desert. So, we've just been enjoying the difference that it brings. And it's a whole new experience for us. So that's where I'm at right now.
Wow, I actually have a cousin that lives in Utah, and when she moved there, I was like, "Girl, like, really? What are you moving to Utah for?" But her husband, I think his family is from there. And then, literally, like 2 days ago, I saw this reel of Utah, and it was so beautiful. Like the mountains still had like snow on it and everything. I was like, "Wow, it's really beautiful there." So now you're saying that you live there. I'm like, I might have to check out Utah.
Yeah, it's really pretty to visit. I mean, even to live, it's so the mountains, and it's a very spiritual place. You feel spiritually grounded. You just like, you come here and you're like, I don't know what's here, but it feels good. It feels really good. Yeah.
Nice. Okay. So growing up in Sacramento, like what was your relationship with your hair growing up? Like what was that like?
Yeah. So growing up and having natural hair, I just didn't like my hair. It was basically a problem when I was younger. It was, always so big. I didn't know what to do with it. It didn't look like anyone else's hair. Of course, everybody had straight hair back in the day, even the mixed race girls and the Black girls. So I was the only one that had my hair, in an afro pretty much. And I would wear like a headscarf, and I would just tie it around kind of as like a headband to help pull my hair back. And so that it looked kind of like it was done or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And that was like my go-to style. And it was always like an issue when my mom was like, okay, it's time to comb your hair. We got to like, put some conditioner in it. And I would be like trying to run away from her. I would be crying because we would wait probably like 3 or 4 weeks to comb my hair. And then it was so tangled. So
Yes.
just, my whole experience was just like, oh, I just don't like my hair. And like, somebody please do something to it. So like
Yeah.
at age 10, my mom, she found out about a relaxer and we put a relaxer in my hair. And I was so happy because I finally felt like I could like, run my fingers through my hair. It was like less hair, I could pull it back easier and everything just became easier.
Yeah.
But I remember after about a month of like wearing a relaxer, like the hype kind of came down and I was just still like looking, at the box and I was like, I don't look like that girl in the box. Like, why is her hair like it moves, and it's like hanging down and it's like touching her face. And my hair was still like kind of sticking up, but straight.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, I still don't really feel that beautiful with my hair straight. But to
Mm-hmm.
me, it was a bit better than wearing it out in the afro because I would get teased for my hair.
Yeah.
Like it was normally the boys, it wasn't really the girls, but the boys would try to pull off my head wrap because they wanted to like unravel it and see like what my hair was. They would tell me like, what are you hiding in that bird's nest? They said that there was like stuff in it. I know, look at your face. I know.
So
And
weird.
yeah, it's, when I was younger, I think it was kind of their way of saying that they liked me, how boys like tease girls or be mean to
Mhm.
them when they like them. And that was really it. That only lasted for a short amount of time, but I do remember being like, "Ugh, I just want to do something different with my hair."
Yeah, it's so interesting that you said that your hair didn't look like what was on the box because I recently saw something about some of these companies getting sued, like some of the perm companies and relaxer companies getting sued. I think my mom might have told me about it because the girls on the box didn't actually have like relaxers or perms, like they were doing like extra stuff
Oh
to
my
their hairs to
goodness.
achieve the
Yeah.
look that was on the box. And people were like, well, like you said, my hair didn't look like that. They were doing like extra things to get
I
that
seen
that look.
that. I seen that. Yeah. I think like the girls on the box didn't actually relax their hair. They just like pressed it or whatever.
Yeah, like something
Yeah.
crazy like that. I'm
Mm-hmm.
like, wow, marketing is
Mm-hmm.
something else.
Yeah.
And then also you said something else about, the straightness of your hair. Was it anything that was like, was it just like a natural thing or just like a society thing that you felt like, okay, my hair, it has to be straight to make me feel beautiful? Or was it like a family thing? Like, how did you get that idea of, okay, straight is beautiful and like my natural curly hair is like not as beautiful?
Yeah, I was just talking to a friend about that. So, what we realize, or what I realize, is growing up in Sacramento, it's the state capital of California. There's a lot of state jobs there. It's very professional type of, industry. And I think, society and everything around me was straight hair. It was conservative, it was tidy. There wasn't a lot of like self-expression, growing up in Sacramento. It's not like there's not a very big art scene either. Whereas like if you go to the Bay Area, San Francisco, Oakland, all of that, it's an hour away from Sacramento. There was just more like Afrocentric, people wearing their hair, in an afro, and it's just more self-expression there. And so my friend that grew up in Oakland, she was saying that. And I was like, oh my God. I was like, her experience when she was younger was so different. And actually, she grew up in Berkeley. Her
Okay.
experience of her hair was so different. It was more about like expressing herself than mine. Mine was about like, how do I fit in kind of thing? Like, let me straighten my hair. Because what was around me was just that. So it was really what I just saw next to me, like the girls in school and the moms and the parents. However, I will say that my mom is mixed, but my mom is Norwegian, Mexican, and Native American. If you saw her when she was younger, she looked really Hispanic and she has big, full curly hair. And
Uh-huh.
I used to love how my mom would wear her hair. It was just kind of like Diana Ross, like really big. And I wanted that hair when I was younger. And then my mom ended up starting to cut her hair and keep it short. And so then I didn't have anyone to look towards anymore, or like look to, but my peers. So
Mhm.
that kind of sided, my views on hair.
Got you. Are you the only child?
I'm not. I actually grew up with 3 brothers.
Oh my God.
So yeah, I was in a household of all boys. So I think that also made it really hard to be girly and like want to wear my hair out. I will say I was definitely like tomboy. I didn't wear makeup until like late in high school. And
Mhm.
even till now, I'm like really more embracing my femininity. I'm like, okay, like more dresses and all of that stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So after the relaxer, how long did you keep relaxing your hair?
I kept relaxing my hair for about 10 to 11 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what was that journey like as an adult, like going on the natural hair journey, letting your relaxer grow out? Did you cut your hair? Like, what was that natural hair journey like as an adult?
Yeah, I would say, looking back, I had really challenging times, and I'm so glad I did it though, because like where I'm at right now, I just feel more whole, complete. I'm just more satisfied with myself, my image, and I just feel like, my hair is so big that it works for my, features. Like before, I felt like I had this like little tiny straight ponytail. My features were so big and, and broad and bold, and it just never really, it felt off. And I'm a very like intuitive feeling type of person. I'm an INFJ in the Myers-Briggs personality type. So I go out based off of feeling. Do you know what your Myers-Briggs is?
I think mine's is it I think mine is INFJ as well, honestly.
Okay.
That's how I'm
Yeah.
like, yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So for me, it's all like about feeling. If something that I feel right, I'm always trying to like make it feel good. And
Mhm.
so I, as an adult, I decided in college that I wanted to, just embrace my natural curls. I was tired of paying the money, for the upkeep of like texturizers and relaxers. And I just thought, my hair has never really been what I wanted it to be straight anyways. So why don't I just try to see what my natural curls look like? And I
Yeah.
was like, maybe they've changed. Maybe they're curlier, I didn't know. So I started to grow it out, like a little slow grow out. And then once I got about 9 months, I actually went in to see my straight hair hairstylist. And she recommended putting a texturizer in my hair. She's like, oh, it's all natural. It's just going to help loosen up the curls and make it easier as you're growing your hair back or out. And then I, trusted her. We did it. And I was so disappointed because my hair is basically straight after that.
Oh,
And I was like, this is not natural. Like, what is this? And so I never went back to her. I was like, forget this. I'm going to just like figure out my hair on my own. So I
mm-hmm.
spent a whole nother 9 months growing it out to the same place all over again. And then after that, I pretty much had moved from Sacramento to LA, and the water in Southern California is a lot harsher than the water in Northern California. So
That's
my hair, just like I was trying to like do my normal straight routine. So I was still straightening it, but very gently, just to
mhm.
kind of mesh the two textures. And my hair was just like puffing up. And I was like, ooh, I was like, I don't know if this is going to work. And then also when I was like trying to, comb out my hair on wash day, it was breaking. And I was like, oh my God, I'm going to have to do something. So I kind of like was forced into a big chop because my hair was like really short on one side and the other side it was long. And it just got to a point where I couldn't hide, the new growth, and I couldn't hide the textures. So I did a big chop, just did it on my own. I was just at home and just like, just cut it. And I had some roommates and I went downstairs and they were like, oh, they're like, your hair is like different. And I was like, yeah, I just cut it. And what was even better is that my roommate situation. So I lived in a big house in LA, and it was like one of the best experiences because I didn't live in the dorms during college. I lived off campus because the dorms
Mhm.
got full. So I never had that dorm experience. But in this house, we had 3 boys, and they were like Caucasian white boys. And then my girlfriend, who it was Black. And so it was 2 Black girls
Mhm.
and 3 white guys. And they were like learning about our hair. And they're like, oh, your hair looks different than it was the other day. And I'd come downstairs with my bonnet, or I'd have my hair in my Bantu knots. And they would just look and be like, oh, that looks,
Different again.
yeah, yeah. And so we were just cracking up, but they were so supportive. And yeah, I just ended up rocking the big chop for a while. It was very uncomfortable. I was like, I literally felt like the physical need to pull my hair back because that's what I always did and I couldn't. And so I felt very just open and very vulnerable, and people could just look at me. But I will say I got so many compliments when my hair was short. Like people would come across like from the grocery store. They would track me down to come and tell me, they're like, oh, I saw you over there. I just want to tell you, your hair is so beautiful. And I was
Oh,
like, oh my God. And then babies, like I remember like a handful of babies, I would be at the store and they would just be staring at me like the baby in the store. And I was like, oh my goodness. And they're like, oh yeah, my daughter or whatever is like, seems to really like your hair. So it was
nice.
really interesting that I was getting so much like attention, but I felt so self-conscious. And then, I started to grow it out from there, but it wasn't that easy. I had 2 other big chops after that. I dyed my hair in between. I thought, a little dye, I'm getting bored, that happened. And then, you know, just routine and the wrong products. My hair was breaking off again. So I had to cut it again. And so on the final one, when I cut my hair, and this was like 7 years into my journey, I cut it and I was like, okay, I'm not going to do any of that other stuff. I'm just going to use these products right here and I'm just going to do this routine. I was also pregnant at the time, so I didn't really have like a choice because I'm like, I can't be in the bathroom for like 2 hours trying to do my hair. I'm like, I need to sit down, And once I did that, things started to change for me and my hair started to come together. And I was like, oh, I think I'm onto something.
Yeah. Wow. That is such a fantastic story. It seems like after that chop, he was like, well, I've done it already. I'm gonna keep chopping it, experimenting, seeing what worked, seeing what didn't work. What was it that led you to create SwirlyCurly?
Yeah. So it pretty much was like my frustration with my hair, going through my natural hair journey and, doing the big chop and trying to find products to work for my hair. I remember distinctly like never having a hair tie to fit around my afro hair. So when my hair was in a fro, like a headband was often too big and then a regular hair tie was too small. And then I was always like having to stretch my hair to get it in one of the small hair ties. And so I had one day where I was literally doing that. I was stretching my hair and I was like in between acting auditions and I wanted to go to the gym and work out. And I was in my studio apartment in Hollywood and I was trying to put my hair in the little hair tie and it basically like broke and flew across the room. And I was just like, oh my God. And I was like, I really wish I just had something that snapped on and snapped off. And then I just had an idea for this hair tie. And I was like, okay, I'm going to write that down. I'll come back to it later. It's a great idea. And then, like 6 months go by. And then my brother, who's an entrepreneur as well, he's called Chuka the Rich Barber, and his company is the Rich Barber Company. Okay. And he saw it and he's like, hey, what's that idea? He came from Sacramento to visit me in LA. And it was just so random how everything on my desk was like all dusty and stuff. And he just happened to pick out that Post-it that I wrote it on. And I was like, oh, it's a hair tie and it would do this and that. And he's like, wow, you're really excited about it. You should, make a business and do that. And I was like, no way. I was like, I don't even know the first thing about being in business. Plus I was like, I'm focusing on my acting career. I just want to do that. And then a year goes by and it's still sitting on my desk. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to make that hair tie. So it first started with a snappy hair tie. And then we got into creating other hair accessories like our adjustable headbands with edge protect technology. And then we got our snap scrunchies and then our satin line bonnet. And then from there, customers were like, oh, this is great. Like, I love the bonnet, but I also need some like moisturizer. Like, do you have some oil or do you have, shampoos and conditioners and stuff? And then so we thought, how about let's create those as well. And that's kind of the way the business, formed. And we ended up transitioning from Snappy to SwirlyCurly because we were going to start encompassing all these other products. And SwirlyCurly was really just about the different textures, the different cultures, the different ethnicities, and the versatility and flexibility of our hair.
Yes, I absolutely love that story as well, because you had an idea and it makes me feel like hearing what you just said just now about the Post-it note, came back to it a year later. It makes me feel like we need to start revisiting the things that we write down. I have journals full of ideas that I've had over the years, and maybe I need to go back and revisit them. And then also listening to your customers and using that as a means to how you strategically expanded the line just based off of what they were saying that they wanted or needed from you. I absolutely love that. How long did it take for you, once you had the snappy idea, you waited a year, you came back to it, how long did it take you to actually put it out on the market once you developed the design and get somebody to manufacture it and everything?
Yeah, I would say it was probably about 8 months, 8 or 9 months.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't really in a rush. So I kind of took my time. I was really enjoying the process of coming up with the idea and getting the packaging ready and all that. Plus I also didn't really know, where to go from step to step. I just kind of had to figure that out. And thankfully I had my brother to get ideas from and get his feedback, and also for him to help guide me because he had already been through that process. He had created a product of his own that he saw a need for in the barber industry. And so he was helping and supporting me. in that. So it just took about, I would say like 8 or 9 months. And then I literally like just put up the website.
Mm.
And, my first customer was my brother. I was like, just make sure it works, make sure the
Yeah.
order goes through. And then I started taking that and I started offering it to like influencers, YouTubers, because
Yeah.
I watched a lot of YouTube when I was learning, how to do my hair.
Mhm.
And there was just so many people that I thought could benefit from it. So then I sent it out to them. But yeah, it was about like 8 or 9 months in the process. And then of course, I was still auditioning. I was still working at a restaurant at the time. So I had those things, that I had to keep up doing at the same time.
Yeah. Is that something that you have to get patented, like when you have an idea like that, just to protect it?
Yeah. So the patent experience is really interesting. And, we've been through it. We approached, to get the patent and stuff. And from what we found, when it comes to like design stuff, you can get a patent and it does help protect so people don't make that same design.
Mm.
However, if they just change a feature or two, then it becomes a new design and then your
Right.
patent no longer works. So the better type of protection is to be first to market, to be in people's hands, to be in stores. So then people, when they see the knockoff, they're like, oh, I don't want that. No, like, SwirlyCurly was here first and y'all
Right.
just copied.
Gotcha.
That's the better protection in, when it comes to being online. Now, if it's a utility patent, that's a bit different, but utility patents are a little, not that they're harder to get, but a lot of stuff online, like, if you're in the hair care industry is not, it's going to be more of like a copyright patent, trademarks, and then you can do design for like hair, accessories and stuff like that.
Gotcha. Gotcha. Okay. This is so exciting. So tell us about the SwirlyCurly method. You developed your own method with your products. How does it work? How does it simplify the natural hair styling journey that a lot of us
Yeah.
go through?
Yeah, definitely. So the SwirlyCurly method is really 4 foundational principles that make caring for your hair really easy. And what we like to focus on is getting you beautiful, natural hair in less than 1 hour a week. Because we know a lot of us can spend so much time on our hair and don't get results or get, different results each time. And most people just want consistency. They want like ease and they want it to be a shorter amount of time because we don't have a lot of time. So the 4 steps is the first one is cleansing. You want to cleanse your hair once a week. That's not pre-pooing, that's not co-washing, that's actually cleansing, shampooing your hair once a week. And the reason why is that you really have to cleanse your hair in order for it to take in moisture. And so when we add products on our hair and then, dirt, grime, all of this stuff, it just piles up. And then
Mhm.
if you go in and just co-wash, it's not actually cleansing the hair to open its cuticles so that moisture can get in, so water can get in, so product can penetrate. So if you've ever had like your hair, like one week, it's like great. You're like, oh my God. And then you co-wash and then it feels super soft the next week. And then all of a sudden, like by week 3 and 4, you're like, it's starting to go limp and it's not
Yeah.
curling up anymore. That can be, a reason that it can be because you haven't cleansed your hair properly. Now, the second step in the SwirlyCurly method is the conditioning. Now, conditioning process is, it can be all kinds of ways. And again, we're focused on the most effective steps to get you the best hair. And we found that a lot of us are doing like 20 steps and really you only need to do like 4, to get the same amount of results, or
Yeah.
even better. And so when it comes to the conditioning, we always recommend, deep conditioning bi-weekly at most for the first couple of months, and then switching to just a deep conditioner once a month. And now I know some of y'all are hearing this and you're like scared. You're like, girl, I can't do that. My hair is going to be dry. But the reason your hair is dry is you're over conditioning it.
Like you're doing too much.
You're
Yeah.
doing way too much to your hair. And in fact, your hair actually gets strengthened when it just gets a regular conditioner versus like a treatment. Treatments to like repair. Sometimes it just like over repairs or over saturates your hair with,
Mhm.
the nutrients that it doesn't need. And the hair is like kind of interesting because it's not like what goes in kind of comes out in a way, like where if you're taking vitamins and supplements and if you're overdoing it, you just excrete it, it just comes out. Whereas like your hair, it just kind of it stays in when you're trying to put it in. So it takes a little time for it to come out. But you want to do that deep conditioning and conditioning bi-weekly for the first few months if your hair is like really, really fragile, and then just move to a regular conditioner. And then when it comes to detangling your hair, definitely detangle with the conditioner in, but only leave the conditioner in your hair as long as it takes you to detangle. You don't need a separate conditioning session. You don't need to sit under a dryer and all of that stuff. You just only need to leave it in for as long as it needs. And that is when you're detangling. And then the third step is the styling products. Like, how do you actually add your styling products into your hair? And so a lot of people, they are doing all kinds of different methods, and some of them, they can work, but again, what I find is that people will start to find that their hair goes limp, it goes dry, or it's just like doesn't feel the same, it's not reacting the same. And so what we recommend is a styling cream and a gel. And a lot of people, when I tell them a gel, they're like, oh my God, the crunch, the stickiness, that's not going to, help for my hair. I'm so used to having, you know, putting an oil or butter on top of the hair. Now, when you put an oil and butter, it really like blocks out any additional moisture you're going to be adding for the week to your hair. But a gel will give you the same effect. It will help lock in the moisture. It will define the curls and all of that. And it will give you length, but you can still add moisture throughout the week to your hair. So if you're adding a water on top, day 3, 4, and you need to revive your hair, it's going to respond much better when you add a gel than adding the other ones like the shea butters and things like that. And then the fourth is protection. It's like, how are you protecting your hair at night, during the day? What products are you using? But then also there's steps that you can take to prep your hair at night, so that it's easy to do your hair in the morning. So like if you ever had that morning where you're scrambling, you're like, I don't know what to do with my hair. Like we teach you in the SwirlyCurly method. We have the little buns method and we have the banding method so that you can do that. It takes like 5 minutes. And then in the morning, it's 5 minutes and your hair is guaranteed to look good.
That is fantastic. Are these things that you just learned over the years of like the trial and error with your own hair to develop this method?
Yeah. So a combination of, my experience. I also got really serious about my hair when it wasn't working out. And I was like, I'm just so over this. I was like, I know there's a way that I can really have beautiful hair. I'm like, and I think I need to like go to school and learn. And so I ended up booking sessions with some of the top like celebrity hairstylists, the top people in the curly hair industry. I flew out to Naturally Curly headquarters to interview the staff to kind of just get down to the like root cause of things and what can I change? Because there's so much information out there. We spend so much time and so much money on so many products and then they don't work. And what we found is actually it's 80% your routine and 20% your products. That's what I like to say. So the majority is going to come from the routine that you do, and then you have the products to support it. But if you don't have the right routine, you can try all the products in the world and they're not going to work for you. Yeah. So it's how you apply things. It's what you're doing to your hair. And that's actually what we go through in the SwirlyCurly method, which, I've given you guys a snippet. And at the end, we of course can tell them where they can get the book. We're giving away free books as well. But yeah, so that's what I learned. I've sat with Shy, the curl doctor, Vernon Francois as well. And this is, from their background, from their learning and stuff. It's a combination of all of it together. And I just sorted through all of it and I just brought it home. I was like, this is what SwirlyCurly Method is going to be about.
That is so awesome. So when people are switching over to new products, because I feel like you said 80% their method and 20% the products, how long should they be giving themselves to actually see if it works? Because I feel like people try so many products and they probably try it for like 2 weeks and they're like, oh no, this doesn't work. Let me switch to something else. They don't even give themselves enough time or their hair enough time to, switch over from whatever they were doing. How much time should they give themselves when trying new products?
Yeah, definitely. Well, I will say this, once they can change their routine, the products may start working for them. If I would say they're water-based products. Water-based products are going to be the essential ones to use on your hair. And this is from Shy. This is from Vernon Francois. Is water-based products are going to be the best one because they actually penetrate and go into the hair versus really heavy duty products. They just sit on top. And that's what I was always going after. I would be looking on the shelves. I was like, where is it? Like broke, damage, repair, like all the things. And I was constantly getting that. And I would put it on my hair and immediately my hair would turn to straw, or to be so dry, or it would just be heavy with butters. And I would just feel it on my neck. It was on my hands. And I was just technically feeling the product that was sitting on my hair. So if you change your routine, you get the right routine and you're putting the products in on the right order on your hair. And if they're water-based products, I would say, you'll pretty much see results in about 2 weeks. You're going to be like, okay, your hair is going to change. It might feel dry for a little bit, but then after that, you're going to notice that your hair is going to be a little more moisturized, probably going to have a little bit more bounce. And then I would say by week 4, that's where you're going to really start to notice a difference. And that's been, a lot of people's experience. Like at the first week, they're like, oh my God, this is so hard when they change to water-based products. They're like, I'm so not used to this. My hair is so dry. And then the next week when they wash their hair, they're like, my hair just feels a little softer. Like it's still dry, but it's starting to feel softer. And then they start to notice the curls start to come alive and they'll start to see a curl pattern they've never seen. And again, in my experience, like I didn't even know I had S curls in my hair. Like I didn't know I had some type 3 in my hair until I changed to water-based products, but my hair was always just really frizzy. It never really had a pattern. It was just really frizzy or you couldn't see it. And this is like day 3 for me. And to be honest, I wore my hair back for a few days when it was, when I had it out or whatever. And, not when I had it out, what am I trying to say? I wore my hair back after I got out of the shower because we were in a rush to go somewhere. So I had put my wet hair in 2 buns, which I rarely do. So it's a little more on the straight side right now. But that was something I experienced. And most people do. They'll start to see a curl pattern that they've never seen before because their hair is hydrated and it's not freaking out anymore. Like if your hair is always frizzing up and all that, it's freaking out because it's like, I need water, I need water, I need moisture. So I would give it about 2 to 4 weeks. But if you're putting a product on your hair right now and your hair, like already your hair is like going stringy, it's going super dry, the product's probably not going to work for you.
Gotcha. Okay, thanks for sharing that. So you said when you originally launched the brand Snappy, that you were, still a waitress, you were still doing the auditions and everything. Where did the funding come from for you to start the brand? Like, how'd you get the money?
Such a great question. So I will say I've had really good credit after I paid off my student loans and all of that. And my bank offered me a loan. It was $10,000. I think it was just like a line of credit or something. And so I used that to fund the business and get it started. And then, of course, when I started making sales and stuff like that, they offered me more loan and I paid that loan back. And then they offered me another one. So then I was able to take out another loan to purchase more inventory when we came out with our next products, like the headbands, and we came out with the bonnet and the scrunchies. But even then, when the Snappies launched, I was also making them by hand in my studio apartment. So that also helped a lot of the cost, I just had the time and I was making them and I was shipping out all the orders. But there goes, it's kind of like a leverage thing. You'll leverage, a little bit of debt to kind of get something out new. And then you just have to work to make that sales. And then you'll bring in the revenue for that. And then you kind of will leverage to bring out another product. And it's always just kind of been that way. So it's really been a self-funded business. And, I think, again, paying off my student loans really helped my credit. And so that's why they offered me the loan. Yeah.
Nice. Okay. Thanks for answering that. That's really cool. So are you still doing things by hand or do you have a team now helping you?
Yes, I have a team. Thank goodness. It's really nice because I did that for a long time. I felt like a little too long. And in fact, my husband now, when I met him, he came over to my place and we were officially dating and stuff. And I was like so embarrassed. I was like, oh my God, I'm like, I have to ship out orders. And I didn't say anything. And I was like, I don't have any product made. And when you're first dating somebody, you're like, trying to just everything. You're just trying to make it all look good. And so I had to pull out my little cart with my little like snap machine and my fabric and my scissors and everything. And I just like started putting it together. And he looks at me and he's like, oh, no. He's like, you cannot sustain doing this. Like, this is not like the way. And so he called up some friends. He's like, hey, can you make some, he's like, my girlfriend needs some help, like making these hair ties. And so he literally hired me like 3 people. And that was the start of like outsourcing it. And then after that, I never brought it back home. It was like they made it. And then I eventually found a manufacturer and then it's gone like that.
Yeah, I can see why you married him.
Yeah.
Like, my girl cannot be in here doing all of that. I need to, need to keep her.
Yes.
How much do you think that you spent on products prior to SwirlyCurly or Snappy? Like, how much do you think you spent on products in one setting?
Ooh, one setting. So
Yeah. Like just going to the store like one time, you're like, let me
Mhm.
try like this stuff.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I was that product junkie. Like if I would go get my hair done in a salon, I buy everything they told me to buy. Everything
Mhm.
they used on my hair. I'm like, okay, let me just try it at home. And I would say, yeah, like probably like $100 or more, in one go. And then also, continuously, I was always going to the store. It was kind of like shopping for clothes. I was shopping for products, hair products. I'm like, oh, let me see if this works. And then I always thought like, oh, if I just read the label a little bit more, or if I get smarter and like, if I look for this word, maybe that might work, all this stuff. And it was like never the case. And like, the only thing that worked for me is when I changed to changed my routine and I changed to the water-based products. And I was like, oh my God, like, but I would have never known if I hadn't, you know, spoke with Shy and Vernon and Naturally Curly and all of that stuff.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
yeah.
Okay. Have there been any challenges or just unforeseen hurdles with sustaining the brand or launching the brand that you didn't see coming?
Oh yeah. Like running a business, you never know what's going to come up. Like you never know where like your next like opportunity is going to come, but then you'd also never know where your next challenge is going to come. And for us, we've always had a challenge on like the what is it called? The like inventory, process and ordering. Like, gosh, there was one time when we changed our packaging from like a plastic kind of like sliding, I guess you can say, like card for our hair ties. And we went to a box and
Mhm.
it was this really nice box and it cost a lot more to ship. And our manufacturer shipped it over and it went to our fulfillment center. And then I ordered some of the product to make sure it was shipping out right. And I get it and it is smashed. And I'm
Oh,
like,
wow.
why are the boxes smashed? And then that's when you realize you're like, oh, I need case packs and inner packs. Like we now need to box these in smaller boxes, put them in a bigger box, then put that in a bigger box with a lot of padding around it so the boxes don't get smashed.
Wow.
And so you're like, oh my God. You're like, oh my God. I'm like learning this. And of course, it's like a lot of money. And then, just like sewing things on, like our manufacturer me, one time they sewed on the buttons the wrong side. And then they had to re-sew everything. And when they re-sewed it, some of the customers got it and like the buttons just came off. And I'm like, oh my goodness. Okay. Quality control. We need to put quality control in place. And so if you have like products, you have to really make sure there's quality control. You've got to be on the ground as much as possible because it's just, we go on autopilot sometimes. And I think people just kind of oversee things. They overlook, we're all human. There's human error. There's a lot of human error in running a business. And then you also have to just be ready to put those fires out. And then, yeah. And then at the same thing, hurdles of like, trying to just make things work. You have a goal and you're like, this is what we're going to do. And then you just have to figure out how to get there and make it
Mhm.
happen. And you don't have the resources, when you're trying to get to that goal, but they do come at the very last minute. They will come.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Thanks for sharing that. It's like a lot of troubleshooting, it seems like you said, you just got to be on the ground, like order your products, see how they come. And
Yeah.
I don't know if people do that, but I like the idea of doing that, like being the customer just to see how you receive the package and what it looks like.
Yes. And we do that like monthly now. We're like always ordering our product. We're like making sure it's getting shipped out, making sure everything's in there. Yeah. Cause all of a sudden the stuff will just change. It's, like I said, it's human error. Like you have a routine and before you know it, you're doing something different. You're like, why did I stop doing that again? It will
Mhm.
happen. It will happen in the business too.
Okay. Well, we're going to switch gears really quick and play a little segment of Never Have I Ever. So I have a question for you. If this has happened to you before, share the story behind it. If not, what products from SwirlyCurly would you recommend people use to avoid this happening to them?
Okay.
All right. So never have I ever canceled plans because my natural hair did not turn out as planned. Has that ever happened to you before?
It has happened to me. Yes. And
What
so,
happened?
so what happened was I've definitely called out of work because I just couldn't get my hair right. And I was like in tears and I was like, I just can't go to work like this. I have definitely canceled going out with girlfriends, same, because I just didn't feel cute. And then I've definitely like canceled dates and be like, oh, I'm not feeling it tonight because my hair and I just didn't feel pretty. That doesn't happen anymore, but in the past it did. And now, the products that I use, the routine that I do, the SwirlyCurly method, it's tried and tested and I get the same results every single week. So that's not really a problem. And then also I think my outlook on my hair is so much more accepting. And I know people could look at me, they're like, oh yeah, you're accepting your hair because your hair is like, looks good and it's longer and all this stuff. But, the acceptance actually came earlier on when my hair was shorter, just kind of accepting the way that it is in that stage or at that time really helped as well.
Yes. Okay. Okay. So how did this journey, this natural hair journey, entrepreneurial journey lead you to become an educator, a curly hair educator and an author? Because you have a book too.
Yes. Yeah. So we have the SwirlyCurly Method book. And by the way, if you're listening, we're giving away free books. So if you want a copy, all you have to do is go to the SwirlyCurlyMethod.com and pay for shipping and handling, which is just about $10. And we'll ship you out a completely free physical copy of the book. And it's also a picture book. So you're going to get pictures on the routines and everything like that. And it goes into more depth about, hair growth, about, trimming, about transitioning and all the things. So it's a really, 365 book when it comes to natural hair care. And how I got into that is that, our customers were still really lost with their hair. And my husband's like, you have so much information, to share, like, let's put it all in a book and let's just, give it to our customers and make sure that they have it so they can know how to use the products from SwirlyCurly and the routine and actually get the results. So that's kind of how that came about. And so we just created the SwirlyCurly method. We also have our CurlCollege, which is our online platform. I don't know if you saw that. People typically don't get introduced to CurlCollege until they buy something from us, because then we give them a free course inside of CurlCollege. And in CurlCollege, it's pretty much in essence the SwirlyCurly method in video tutorial format. So you can actually see me teaching you all the steps. And then again, we do, we have over 40 different quick and easy hairstyles. We have professional hairstyles. And then we talk about hair growth, moisture, all of that stuff in there as well. All in video format. And then there's also the supportive community. And we have bi-weekly live calls that I host where I help and support you with your hair. So if you're struggling with frizz, if you're like, I don't know how to style my hair, Keziah, come on the call and we walk through it. And then I help and support you. So it was really just like a way to support the community. And because people would come to me asking me, how did I get my hair like this? They're like, I love your hair products, but how did you get your hair like that? So then I started teaching people and they were getting the results. And that's kind of how it all came about.
That is so nice. So is this what you do full time now?
Yeah. Yeah. This is what I've been doing full time. I mean, Snappy SwirlyCurly, the whole brand, it's been about, this summer will be 9 years. The book just turned 1. And CurlCollege has been out for about 4 years as well.
That is amazing. So I did want to ask you about your YouTube channel as well. Like, did you have your YouTube channel prior to the brand or after the brand?
After the brand. Yeah. Okay. And that was something I would try to avoid for a long time. And my husband's like, you need to get up there and start doing YouTube videos. And
your customers were on it. He is on it. Okay.
Yeah. It's so funny. I tell him the story because my Myers-Briggs is an INFJ. So the I is for introvert. And so people, when they meet me, they don't actually think I'm an introvert because I'm so sociable and stuff like that. But I also like my quiet downtime. And I didn't want to be on YouTube and I didn't want to make videos. And he was pushing me to do it. And I tell the funny story about when I was, living in Hollywood, I went for an interview at a hotel. I was like, oh, I want to do the travel show. I should be working at a hotel. And then I was like, and I want to work in the back. I want to work in customer service, And after they interview me, they're like, nah, they're like, you need to be at the front. They're like, you're too pretty. You talk too well. And I was so mad. I declined the job because I really wanted to be in the back. So it's really funny that I constantly get pushed to be into the front and speak and, and do the YouTube videos. So it's all the YouTube's come out of the brand.
Yes. How do you leverage the YouTube channel with getting sales?
Yeah. So actually we get a ton of sales from YouTube, and for business owners, if you're wondering, I highly suggest investing in YouTube. It can be overwhelming because it is like starting a production company. You're like, you're on the hook for those weekly videos. People are going to be looking and waiting for them, but do as much as you can. But people love the YouTube because one, that you can search it. So it's searchable. There's that SEO aspect, Google owns YouTube. So your content's always going to be seen. Whereas, Instagram, it's kind of like when it's made, it's kind of like, it just goes in the feed and, unless somebody goes down the rabbit hole, they may not see that. So you have to always be producing to stay relevant. But people love the tutorials. They can see how to use it. They feel connected to you. They can feel your, authenticity and you being really genuine with your product and stuff like that. And they just love that. And then once it's up, it's always up. And then, like I said, people will get notified or they'll get recommended the video. And then we always get sales from YouTube.
Yeah. Okay. Let's talk about your feature with Oprah Daily. Like, what was that all about?
Yeah.
How did that happen? How did you feel when it happened?
Yeah. Honestly, a lot of those features we don't even know about until later. Like they don't even tell us they're writing about us or anything. I just happen to like Google, and now I do it more often. I will Google us like once a month to see like what features we've been in because they won't tell you. And yeah, I was just really shocked, surprised, excited, all the things. And yeah, it's just great. It's actually great to get featured, not only for like the traffic and to be known, but it's also like the hard work that we put into the brand. And it's just like, does anyone see it? Other than, our customers see it. But when you get featured, it's kind of that confirmation, like, yes, we see you, we hear you, your hard work is here,
I could just see Oprah with a snappy on that hair, all that hair she has.
Yeah. She needs one of the bonnets too.
Yeah, she does. We should get like Monique to like sponsor, not sponsor, but like promote the bonnets. That'd be funny.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
So how has it been like running your business, balancing family time? You say you have 3 kids, husband, and then also making quality time for yourself.
Yeah, it's been, it's always been a little bit of a juggle. I will say I'm better now than I was in the beginning. When I first started the business, I was definitely stressed, burnt out, overwhelmed, but it was just really a lack of knowledge and skills. And then, time in the industry. Again, I gotta, go back to my husband. He is a high performance coach for entrepreneurs. So he has a master's degree in positive psychology. And so he kind of does this for a living, where he'll take entrepreneurs who are burnt out and stressed and help them scale down their hours, be more effective in their business and make more money. And so when he saw me, he's like Project Keziah. He's like, Project Wifey needs help here. And so, he's always reminding me of like taking care of my health, making sure I'm meditating. And that's just kind of what we do now. And it's like a natural thing. And so I just approach it more like, this is my scheduled time. I do have my scheduled hours for work. Everything's pretty much scheduled for the most part, my week, so that I have consistency. And then, I just make sure I hit most of those days. And like, sometimes some weeks are different and some days are different. And I do have stressful moments, and I just try to stay focused on what I have planned. Yeah. And then, if I feel stressed, I just call up a girlfriend. I'm like, let's go out, let's have some, let's go for pizza or something like that. So yes, I'm more conscious of it. And I think the thing that really helps me is that it's already in my calendar. So I have the days I do Pilates already scheduled. I already have the days that I'm working scheduled. Me and my husband, our relationship talks are scheduled. Our date nights are scheduled. The time with the kids is scheduled. So it's already in there and I don't have to worry about it. Yeah. And then I just go by the schedule.
I like that. And I just told somebody else, I think last week, that I need to be intentional about putting myself on my calendar, because I put everything else on my calendar, but I don't necessarily, I just know what I need to do, but I need to like actually put it on my calendar like I do everything else.
Yeah, that's so right. I know. And you made me think of that. I do also have my hair, like my wash day scheduled. Yes. And then the day that I wash my hair, my kids' hair, because I got 3 curly hair kids. So yeah.
You said your husband's a psychologist?
So he's actually not a psychologist, but he went to school for positive psychology.
Positive psychology. Okay. I'm about to say, does he do podcasts? Because we need all the tea on how we need to, balance our lives too.
Yeah. That might actually be good. Yeah. I'll send you his stuff and you let me know if he's a good fit. I'm sure he wouldn't mind. Yeah.
Okay. So at the end of the day, Keziah, like, what do you want your legacy to be, especially with like this brand and just in life in general?
Yeah, that's such a great question. I think, with Swirly Curly and the brand, I would love just for the products to be, in retail stores. And so that my children and their children and other little girls that go down the aisles at Target and Walmart, they're like, oh my God, these products are made for me, because I didn't have that growing up. It
Yeah.
was always like, let me just see if this might work for my hair. And for them just to have, a section that's for them, but also like for it to be, not in the back, not in the back, not at the bottom, just to be as normalized as anyone else's section, for hair. So I'd definitely say that. And I think that's it for me. I'm like, if I could do that, then I feel like I could retire and I'll be happy and my kids will have products for their hair that's always going to work for them. Yeah.
Yes, yes. Is there anything that's coming up next for you?
I think, in the future, probably the Dhamma wellness brand with my husband. That's something we've been talking about a lot. We're like, and we have put out content as a family, like just small things here and there when I have time, and people love it. And so I'm like, oh, we should really do that brand. So I think, when Swirly Girly gets to a place where, again, it's in retail stores and all that, and we're able to kind of bring somebody in to be the CEO, I think that's when we can create that other brand.
Okay, okay. From your mouth to God's ears, it'll happen. So before you go, this has been such an amazing conversation, but I have to ask you the Friends in Beauty rapid fire questions. So whatever comes to you first, and if you need to elaborate on it, that's fine too. Just, spit it out. So the first one, what are the top 3 keys to your success so far?
Oh, just first one, I would say just showing up every day. Like when you don't feel like it, when you don't want to do it, when you're just unsure, just do it anyways. Like that's literally been it. Like there's been so many times where I'm like, I don't want to do this live or I don't want to do that. And then I just do it. And it's just like, you just keep it going. And it's like just showing up. I would say secondly is creating and not competing. So there's a lot of brands out there now, like everybody's having a curly hair brand, a lot of celebrities and stuff. And so instead of like just competing with them, just create.
Yeah.
When you create, you're going to create something new, something different that people resonate with versus just copying. So definitely that. And then I'll say third would be, this is such a good question. I would say third is staying like relevant. And I know this is a hard one because things change so much and there's social media and all of that, but it's really important to stay relevant and to stay on top of those things. Because then the whole marketing aspect or the whole marketing landscape has changed. And so I see brands that like are struggling like online with their community, how trying to reach them, and they're still posting just pictures, it's like pictures don't do it. It's reels now. You gotta come out and create some content, you gotta put a little bit more work in it. And I will say that's something that we have done. And I think that really helps. Is just staying like relevant and staying on top of the technology. As hard as it is as a business owner, it's something that I think is so important. And also with that, like the brand will transition and just going with the transition and the evolvement of the brand, because that's what it's meant to do. It's meant to evolve.
Right, right. Okay. How do you measure your success?
Ooh, that's a good question. I have two. I have like a healthy and an unhealthy measurement. The unhealthy one is definitely, I'm like, all right, how many sales have we done today? Kind of thing. What's the profit on it? I think that's very important to be aware of that. And I wouldn't say it's unhealthy. It's very like right here, right now.
Yeah.
And then the other measure of success, I would say, is like, how many lives have we changed? How many customers are writing us and are excited and so happy that they found our brand? And if we're getting like 1 or 2 of those a week, then I'm like, okay, this is worth it.
Yeah. The next one, what's the best advice you ever received, or a piece of advice that's just always stuck with you?
Oh, there's so many good advice. I know I'm like thinking there's so many good ones that has always stuck with me. I would say maybe right now, what's working and what's always been there is and I say, and it's so powerful, is definitely Tony Robbins. he says, when you get in your head, you're dead. So what that means, and this is so important for business owners, is like, if you're like in your head about something, about how it's going to work, which way does it need to go, and all of that, and you find yourself getting like stuck, get out of your head and just do it.
Mhm.
And that happens all the time because, an example is like our podcast, I was like, oh, like how would I transition? How would I do this? And those questions are important to answer. But when it gets to a point where you're physically starting to feel like not wanting to do it, it's like, don't do that and just focus on just doing it.
Yeah.
Because when you look back, you're going to be so glad that you tried it. You may not know that it's going to work or not work until you try it. And somebody also said, you don't go to college to know what you want to do. You go to college to know what you don't. And then you'll know what you want to do from there. Once you find out like, oh, I don't want this or whatever. Because sometimes we think about things we want to do. And then when we get to doing that, it's like, oh my God, this isn't exactly what I thought it was going to be like. So I would say maybe those two. I'm sure there's like so many more that I can think of, but those have been really prominent in my life recently.
Okay. What advice would you give to another beauty brand owner right now who is just ready to give up? They are not seeing the sales that they want. The profit is not there. It's just stressful as I don't know what. It like, I don't think this is for me.
Yeah, I would say, figure out what you really want, because running a business is not easy. It's definitely takes your heart, your soul, and everything to run it. And if your heart's still in it, if there's a portion of your heart in it, then I would say figure out, if you can, with the current business model, how to amplify it. Try some things to see if it works, like reach out to your community, see who you could collaborate with, see how you can just kind of amplify your message. And then if the sales are still not there, then I would recommend maybe, and it's tough because it's like one thing can change the sales, the whole trajectory of the sales, like just one, like, video, one marketing thing, something like that could do it. But also I say, especially in this day and age, look at your business model, and you might be able to just like change your business model a bit. Because we're going into a phase of like where it's more about, I guess you can say, digital stuff is doing really well. And like a lot of people moving into the digital space, not that products aren't necessary, there's still, people are still going to be buying stuff, but seeing if there's something that you can tweak, you can change to evolve and see if something else comes out of that. Because as you evolve, sometimes you will find an aspect of your brand or a category that's actually more successful than what you started with. And then you're like, oh, maybe that's actually what I'm meant to be doing.
Yeah.
So I would say definitely, first try to collab, try to amplify your message, because it could really take you far by doing that. And then secondly, seeing how you can evolve. And then third, I would just say, just keep going, Like, you're not going to regret keep going, but you were going to regret, quitting too soon.
Right. Oh, wow. Yes, that's so true. Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
The next one, what's a resource that has helped you in your business that you can share with the friends and beauty community?
Yeah. Okay. Well, a resource that I could share. Okay. That's tough, because I'm trying to think, what's kind of been like a big resource for us that has really worked. But for us collectively, like as the brand and everything we do, it's always just been a kind of the combination of everything that's kind of worked for us. It's like, we got to do everything. But I will say, one that I'm testing right now is called Ad Fairy. And they are a company that helps you scale influencer marketing. And their cost is really low. It's like, I don't know, maybe like $25 an influencer to post or something like that. And you can send them the products, and they're kind of like the middleman, and they work out like everything with the influencer, and then they'll have you post the content. Because I know that nowadays, like a lot of influencers just right out the gate with like 1,000, subscribers or followers will want to charge a lot of money. That's kind of the landscape it's changed to. And, it's kind of like small brands don't have that money, and we don't even know if it's going to hit. Like, I can't give you, $200-300 if I'm not going to see an investment in that, return. So Ad Fairy is great. I'm just working with them. I actually have a friend that used them. Their model's a little different. They're in retail stores, but they pushed over like 2 million like impressions, like views and all of that stuff to help their marketing in stores. So I would say that's a great resource. And then I'm just trying to think, I'm like, what else? I'm like, why am I drawing blanks today? Oh my goodness.
That's a good one, Ad Fairy. I've never heard of that one though.
I'm like, well, and then I say, let's see. It's something that's like on the tip of my tongue, and I'm like, why can't I think of it?
If you think of it, you can just tell me later.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Thank you. So the last one, I just want you to fill in the blank and just say, my name is blank, and the key to longevity and success is whatever you think it is.
My name is Keziah Dhamma, and the key to longevity and success is keep going and never quitting.
Absolutely. Because if you keep going, success is right there. It's inevitable. It's inevitable. Yeah. Before you go, please share like your social media information, website, however people can get the book, like just share everything.
Yes. Yeah. So if you guys want to be in touch with me, you can come say hello on Instagram, and you'll see like all the pictures of my family, because that's all I post typically. I'm just Keziah Dhamma on social and things like that. And then for the brand, for SwirlyCurly, we're SwirlyCurlyHair.com. We're also at SwirlyCurly Hair on social. So that's Instagram. You'll find us on TikTok and on YouTube. And then if you want to get a copy of your free book, The SwirlyCurly Method, it's just theswirlycurlymethod.com. And then if you're interested in CurlCollege, or if you want to come to one of my live masterclasses, it's just going to be CurlCollege.com. And then of course, you can go to SwirlyCurlyHair.com if you want to shop like all the products and everything like that. And I have a coupon code for you guys if you're listening, and I'll share it. We'll put it in the show notes, and that's just podcast 15, and you'll get 15% off of any order of any products on our site.
Yes. Thank you so much for the coupon code. That's so sweet of you all.
You're welcome. Yeah, of course.
Yeah, this has been such an amazing conversation. Thank you so much for sharing your journey with us, your brand journey, your personal journey. It's been an absolute pleasure. And I can't wait to see how the brand continues to grow and how many more people you reach.
Thank you so much. This has been such a great conversation too. You're such a great host as well.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening to the Friends in Beauty podcast. Don't forget, sharing is caring. Share this episode with at least one friend in beauty, and subscribe, rate, and review on Apple Podcasts so that other friends in beauty can find this show. Plus, we'd love to hear your feedback. Connect with us on all social media platforms at Friends in Beauty, #Friends in Beauty to join the conversation, and join our Friends in Beauty Facebook community to stay connected. Talk to you soon.